Hi friends, good evening. This is your host Ankit joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have Nick joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good morning to America, good morning to the world, and welcome to Startup Wednesday. As always, we expect a lot of startups, and it's a full jam-packed show with startups around the world. Welcome, Jim. Namaste. Good morning. How are you doing?
Jim,
Good morning.
from San Francisco or Silicon Valley, or
Yeah, just south
You
of.
got to get up early.
it's all the same thing. It's when we're over there. You fly into either SFF, San Jose, or I've flown into all those crazy
That's
airports.
right, yeah.
Oakland. I've even flown up
Yeah.
Oakland.
Yeah, some flights are easier out of Oakland.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
well,
got to
Allegiant
be up
flew into
early.
Oakland.
He's
Is
got to
it-
be up early to do
Are you
this.
saying it's early? Oh my goodness, yes. I've already walked my dog.
Yeah,
You know,
7
I used
o'clock
to-
there. Yeah,
I
early.
used to be up about as early as you every morning, 5 o'clock workout. By 6, I was answering all my emails, and by 10, I'd already produced some more work than most people do in a day. So
I believe that.
Yeah, usually at 7, I'm on the golf course, and then later on the tennis court. Oh wait,
Oh, you're president.
Nick's retired.
I'm usually on the golf course. No, actually, it's the tennis court first, and golf later on. But we have a guest. Zach says hello.
Yeah,
Well,
Zach
Mr. Zach,
is
yes.
our celebrity on Sundays, and he's also doing our Out and About podcast series that we wanted to start. Remember, just before COVID lockdown, we started a thing called Out and About, and it was our people going out and about.
Yeah, and then out and about. So over. Okay, it's no out, no about.
It was COVID.
It's COVID-19. Oh, but we also have another guest who joined us live, Ron Wacky. Ron, where are you from? What city?
Hong Kong.
You're from where?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Oh,
Wow.
Lord. Okay.
All the riots are going on.
Wow, Hong Kong. What time is it over in Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. over here.
Oh, 10 p.m. Okay, that's early. No problem. 10 o'clock in Hong Kong. Now, do you know Rakesh? See, everybody should know each other in Hong Kong. Do you know Rakesh from Hong Kong? No, he doesn't. Of course not. Hey, Jim, do you ever know that happened to you? You're from San Francisco area, Jim, and somebody goes, "Hey, do you know John Jones from San Francisco?" Well, there's only like 10 million people who live there in the Bay Area.
So Ron, share with us what you do, who you are. We know your name.
Yeah.
But welcome to IBM TV.
Yeah, welcome to IBM TV.
All the way from Hong Kong, and thank you for taking time at 10 p.m. at night. Wow. Yeah. One of our family members of IBM TV is from Hong Kong. His name is Rakesh, and he's not here today. But welcome, and share with us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, what do you do?
I think he froze up.
He froze up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, he's frozen. Frozen in time. Oh, he disappeared even.
I'm going to get that
we'll get a hold of him later and find out. Hey, but it's good news that we beam into Hong Kong. I mean, I'm always, like I said, I don't know about mainland China because I haven't seen anybody from there. But Hong Kong, I know we beam into because Rakesh shows up all the time from Hong Kong.
Well, I'm doing a little bit of bragging with our team, but I'm going to share with the world. I'm just so honored that the KTAR TV networks has been airing our TV show to their people because, one, we share the stories in English, and two, we're sharing the perspective and factual data from the U.S. So I've been sent clips of, hey, we saw you on our TV in our country. And reaching out to us. So I'm very honored that our network is beaming all over. Our show is beaming to every network in the world.
I mean, that's the name of the plan. But so Qatar, I guess we're beaming into in Afghanistan. And, Shambha Pokral, who's on our show, runs Biz TV Nepal. So we should be able to get on Biz TV Nepal. Ron's back. Let's bring in Hong Kong. Ron, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, disconnected.
Yeah, well, that happens. So everybody wants to know, what do you do in Hong Kong besides eat good Chinese food? What do you do over there? Dim sum.
You mean career-wise or my normal daily life?
Both.
Say
both.
That sounds cool.
Things have changed a lot, since the riot began last year in June, and then there's virtually no tourists at all. Everyone is afraid of their safety. And then in December, in January, we thought things were gonna get better. And then here he came with the COVID-19 virus, and then it was dead. The economy was dead, and we've seen a lot of hotels, travel agents having really difficult times. But opportunity comes behind risk. So we managed to procure a couple of competitors' business this year. So we're lucky. We managed to set our foot without losing much. Business is doing fine for us this year.
Oh, that's good.
We're the lucky ones.
Yeah, and the thing is, Hong Kong did this. Riots, lockdown. Here's what we did in the United States. Lockdown, riots. So, I mean, you know, we're pretty much the same, but the thing is, I'm not afraid to go there.
Yeah, even more violent. So how many tear gas bombs
oh man, we rock. Okay, let me tell you about the United States of America. We rock when it comes to, riots, protests, COVID-19. Look at this. We're the world leaders in COVID-19. No one has passed us up yet, because that's who we are. Welcome to the
in
good old
perspective,
USA.
We're looking at a total of close to 6,500,000 cases, and we predominantly take over at least 1/4 of the world.
There we go. We're world leaders in riots. We're world leaders in protests. World leaders in COVID-19. So everybody in the world has to just get over it. It's just the way it is around here. So if you're leading a boring life in another country and you really want to have an exciting time, come visit the USA. You have no idea what you're going to experience over here, because
Trump always reminded everyone it's safe. There's nothing to worry about.
Okay, it's a Celebrity Apprentice. Okay, it's a TV show that just doesn't stop. It's called the USA, baby. The thing is, if there isn't that, there'll be something next week. Watch. We just haven't figured out what it is.
Nick, you're on a roll. Oh my God.
I'm having my cup of caffeine fix, but it is what it is here. All right. So the thing is, all the other boring countries, you're not going to be able to experience the massive amounts of craziness that exists in the good old USA. So so that's what it is. So eventually you kind of figure it out. What?
We live in interesting times.
Oh, we always live in interesting times. I mean, the thing is, no, we don't do boring here, and when we do it to the extreme. So,
Well, let's take a look just for Ron's benefit here. And we thank you for coming, but you can see the U.S., and I don't know if you do this daily, but if we scroll down to Hong Kong, which
you guys are way down there.
You're way down at the bottom. You keep control of the situation.
Are you kidding me?
Right here, right here.
Did I pass it?
We're a neighbor of China, so.
You got a big neighbor next door. You guys are good friends, from what I understand. But the reason I like people in Hong Kong is you speak English, and I don't speak Mandarin at all. I'm like,
my other favorite place is Iceland. Right? They had very few cases because they had a policy in place.
Yeah.
There's Hong Kong.
Right
here. So here you go.
There you go. Okay. See. Okay.
0.5 deaths per million.
Listen to me. This is boring. You only had 1,000 people that got, COVID-19. Only 4 deaths. I mean, come on. We do that more here in one little, riot.
San Francisco's got that deep.
You guys are really boring. You need to step up your game, move up the ladder, and release all the people out there. Say, hey, look, there's no problem. If you catch COVID-19, so what? We got to catch up with the USA. And if you want to riot, come over here. We'll teach you. Okay, we'll teach you how real riots work. I mean, I've seen those benign riots in Hong Kong. Everyone goes, "No, we don't like whatever." Who cares? We got serious riots here. So
I want to ask Ron, why are they doing riots in Hong Kong?
Because of the sedition laws. I mean, the thing is, in mainland China, sedition is a real tough one because by the way, used to have it in the United States. It was called the Alien Sedition Laws here in the USA. And the real problem with that is the enforcement, just like of any law. Okay. Now you have the law. How do you enforce the law and interpret the law, et cetera? But the minute you put something like sedition on the books, it's like, well, I can't say anything because I might be against the law. And that's the real problem. Now, when it comes to blocking free speech, because there's this myth of free speech, any good constitutional lawyer knows that. They go, is it free speech to lie or yell fire in a crowded theater? Okay, in the USA, that's not true. You cannot do that. And so with every country, it's not just mainland China, there's limits to this myth of free speech. Now, what they need is a real good constitutional scholar, international constitutional scholar, to explain all this to people and how it works and doesn't work. The real problem is the interpretation, because the minute you put a sedition law on the books, wait, you violated the law, and that's the interpretation of it. Wait, I didn't do anything. All I did is talk to these guys at IBM TV, and then they arrest you and they throw you in jail. I mean, and then that's kind of the problem. And I'm not sure how the solution is, what the solution's going to be at this point in time. I'm very curious. There's no solution. Well, also, the other problem is the people of Hong Kong are used to their own autonomy, their own way of life, their blah, blah, blah. The Brits really didn't do anything. They kind of hung out in London and they said, hey, hail to the Queen. We used to do the same thing. But no one bothered them, and they like not to be bothered. And see, the thing is, mainland China comes and they bother everybody. And it's really, I think it's a culture clash that's going on there, but I'm not
culture
sure.
Clash. Yeah, let me add a point. Most of the Hong Kong residents, their ancestors are refugees from China.
Right.
So they did hold different extents of grudges against the Chinese communism. So, and then after the handover in 1997, there's a lot of issues going on with the tourists from China, the influx driving up the prices and bringing all the inconveniences to the people. And then these anti-Chinese things are just growing and growing. So no matter what they do, how they rationalize their policies, and people just go against it. It's just all the history is going on with the Hong Kong people being refugees.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing, that's what I'm saying. They're used to their own autonomy there, and this whole thing between communism and capitalism. This always gets me because everybody's married to some economic theory. Okay.
Yeah.
And economic theory is what it is. Economic theory. Come on.
Yeah.
Is whatever it said, the Communist Party of China. Wait a minute. How can you have a communist party when you guys have over in mainland China the second largest amount of billionaires in the world? Okay, there's something wrong here.
Right, you know this, the top 1% of any country runs that country, just like us. We proclaim we're free and we're democracy, but in reality, we are indentured slaves to the top 1% in the government of our country. No different than they are. No different than any other country.
That's what I'm saying. The same. If you took all the countries, there's a lot of similarities among them, and so now there's going to be strife between Hong Kong and mainland China, and they're all going to fight about something that, frankly, no one else knows about. The only thing I know about is what I hear from our media, and it's the sedition laws. And I saw a sedition because we used to have those, and it's like prohibition, really difficult to enforce uniformly and fairly. Because you can have any legal system as long as it's fairly enforced. You can have any economic system as long as it works for all the people. I mean, I don't have any marriage to any of these economic systems or legal systems, but the real problem is you've got, I think, a culture clash going on in Hong Kong and mainland China. Now, also, you can say what you want about Xi Jinping. Hey, he brought a lot of the people out of poverty, and now they're doing very well financially. And you got to say something good about that, no matter how you look at it. Even though his tactics may not be the
I
best,
want
it
to kind of
works.
know from Ron, given your position and what you do, what do you think is going to be important for regrowing the economic wealth of your country?
I think the Chinese government or Hong Kong control of the media stands and how they report the news, because if they don't get a hand on the media, they could not really direct the people to look at the things in a more positive ways. You know, all the medias and news are pretty much against the Hong Kong government or Chinese government. So I think this is the very first step. They need to rectify Hong Kong situations, and actually they are now doing it, because there's this HK what do you call it? HKTV, the biggest in the biggest radio channel in Hong Kong. Now they're doing some censorship.
Yeah.
You can no longer broadcast news that's too biased, blah blah blah. Yeah.
But they're doing censorship here too.
Ron, I believe.
Okay,
Ron, I believe the Hong Kong government is already having a lot of money in their pocket. That's why China wants to conquer Hong Kong.
Well, money is one issue. Another issue is face. You know, to the Chinese culture, the face is very important. So Xi Jinping is losing pretty much of his face if he couldn't really control Hong Kong in a better way. So I think that's more important to him, more than the monetary damage of losing Hong Kong.
Well, he wants Hong Kong to be part of China, not really a separate country. And
Ron, is the similar thing happening in Macau as well? Whatever happened in Hong Kong.
What's going on in Macau? That's a good question.
Macau has always been obedient since the handover. Well, first of all, their population is like one of 20th of Hong Kong's population. It's much easier to control Macau, and the economy in Macau was going very well because of the casino industry. So everyone is well benefited from the growing economy in Macau. But in Hong Kong, most of the people have more and more difficult life because of the wealth gap. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting that you would say because of the casinos, right? That their economy flourishes because of the casinos. And honestly, that's any economy that is embedded with casinos will flourish.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little like Las Vegas, but also when you run into problems like recessions, that's really hurts the casino business. Because people are, and so Macau's probably not doing very well right now. Hong Kong should bounce back pretty good because you guys don't have much COVID-19. So are people out and about now in Hong Kong?
Yeah, people are going out, especially in the past 2 weeks. If you go to the streets and the restaurants, and you see people have suffered long enough. They wanted to go out. So I guess I'm in tourism business. So I can expect as soon as the border is open again, the whole economy should bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, that's what I would figure. Is that Hong Kong's going to bounce back pretty quick. You know,
let's talk about your capsule hotels.
I'm sorry, thank you.
You mentioned about the tourism industry, so let's talk about the hotel industry. How
the hotel industry, yes.
Let's discuss tourism.
Yeah, tourism.
How the capsule hotels? One of your projects. How are they doing right now? You are inviting people in Hong Kong right now? Are they coming and taking those hotel rooms, or I mean, there are no visitors as of now?
Now all the hotels are occupied by the local residents. When they used to rent an apartment or a private room, and then now they find that the hotel rooms are cheaper, so they stay in hotel rooms. So that's the only revenue source I would say for the hotel industry in the past 4 or 5 months in Hong Kong since the border was closed. We used to have 150,000 to 200,000 tourists every day in Hong Kong, and then dropping to a whopping 100 or a few hundreds a day. Yeah, that's like 99.5% drop in terms of tourist numbers. So many hotels are closed for renovations, and some are closed permanently, and the government actually didn't give any supports. That's pretty disappointing. Yeah, I think the U.S. government is more generous towards helping the affected industries in this regard.
Now, and I think you bring up something very interesting to me, that there will be a lot of property sitting empty, and that becomes a true problem in inner cities when poverty sets in. These properties become empty, they become uncontrolled and maintained, and not, they become problems, right? Yeah. And how do we refill these buildings back up, this real estate? And I wish Nick were back. Where's Nick? Where's Nick?
Yeah, first of all, there's some shift of clientele and also going down with the revenue. Like those apartments divided into 8 rooms or 10 rooms. They used to rent it out for like $800 a month, and now they can only ask for $400, $500 a month because of the hotel rooms targeting at the local residents only. So the supply suddenly becomes a lot. And I think hotel industry, even the border is open again, it takes at least a few months to recover, because the prices could only go up slowly and slowly. And especially now the active cases in the States and in Europe are still not pretty much under good control. I think the border should be only partially open to certain countries like to China or to Korea or other Asian countries, but not to the West.
Well, and this is a concerning problem globally. This isn't just a Hong Kong problem. If, given your experience, and maybe we can come up with some startup ideas as well, because one of the things I like about today is Startup Business Day, right? And it's not just about existing startups, but sometimes when we're talking, we come up with some ideas, right? Mm-hmm. What could be some things that we could do to utilize the real estate, help innovate tourism, and do it safely, right? Right now, nobody really wants to travel. There are those of us who we're not doing it out of fear, but just based on facts, we're just not going to go out there because, facts tell us we could get sick. And there are others who are saying, oh, screw it, I'm going to go out there, I'm not going to wear a mask, and I'm not going to worry about it. How do we find a comfort zone in tourism? That's
Kimberly,
go ahead.
I would like to say that I and probably you and many others knew people who went to Hong Kong on business. As a matter of fact, they just would go there regularly, right. And none of them are doing that now. None of them feel that it's safe to travel. So it has to have an effect not only on the restaurant business, the hotel business, but it just business.
Right.
It would seem to me.
In all aspects, there's the only thing we can do now is to, first of all, borrow money backed by the banks and the Hong Kong government. Okay, for many small and medium enterprises who used to find it hard to borrow money, now it's much easier because of the government backing. So that helps a lot. I think for now, if you ask me how to utilize all these leftover spaces, my answer is seriously, nothing you can do. Yeah. If people cannot go out, if tourists cannot come in, there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
Well, in the United States, our government is trying to help businesses and that sort of thing. But the way we're doing it is just a mess. You know, we're helping people who don't need the help, and we're not helping the people who do. So you're telling me, what I'm hearing is that the Hong Kong government is more efficient about helping people, helping businesses start up.
I wouldn't call that. I would just say Hong Kong business people are used to survive without the help from the government. Yeah, we get used to it. So we don't blame the government because we never really expect the government to help in any ways. Yeah, but well, I mean, I'm more of a positive guy. Like now, I find it easier to borrow money from the bank because of the government backing up. So I'm thankful already. So yeah, there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
And Ron, how easy it is to overcome the hotel industry because capsule hotels are much cheaper in terms of managing things as compared to the traditional hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, I mean, how the economy or how the hotel industry will come up, because it's one of the hardest hit industry in the current COVID situation, and Hong Kong is one of the biggest tourism hub in the world as well.
I think there's a few changes going on. First of all, there will be this survival process that the weak will die or have died already. The strong survive better. The supply become less, and then that's a good thing for our industry in the future, because there has been some oversupply in the past few years because of the tourism was still booming, and now it's just a kind of good timing to rectify the supply and demand. And then the second thing is there will be more use of systems and automations, and hotels will go for more automated solutions to handle their daily routine tasks. Like, for example, for our company, I personally, we have around 100 capsules and rooms, and we handle over 100 guests at this moment. But my company, it's just me and another staff handling all these hundreds of guests. With for other normal hotels, maybe you need to hire like a full receptionist doing the shifts and taking the holiday, and some sales staff, some reservation staff to handle the orders, etc. So at the beginning, as soon as you set up the systems and you make it automated, that's the initial investment, and then you can enjoy more of the labor cost cutting. And that's the case how my company can survive much better in this situation, because we don't really have much labor costs. Everything is automated.
And Ron, how many capsules do you have in Hong Kong right now?
Hundreds.
All are fully occupied?
80-90% occupied. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And all are the same capsules, or they have different categories of capsules as well?
Sorry, different what?
I mean, all are in the same category, or you have different categories of capsule rooms or capsule?
Categories of the capsules. Yes, we do have female only capsules, mixed gender capsules, and then single capsules, which is like 1.1 meter wide, single bed capsules, and double bed capsules, 1.3 to 1.4 bed. And then we have premium first class capsules, which is full sailing without double decker. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, a bit of a variety for our capsules, and all our capsules.
And I can remember I had a great time. I mean, staying at the capsule hotel in Hong Kong, the Royal de Mer.
Yeah,
a couple of years.
Yeah, you tried. You tried once. Yeah. It was back in 2017, right?
It was 2018.
18. Okay. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. How was the experience? Yeah.
That was a very good experience, and I wanted to understand how the industry works, how the capsule industry works, and what else you can optimize and what else you can do, because it was one of the experiences for me. Although I've stayed at all hotels in airport whenever there's a delay in flights and things like that, but those are a different kind of hotel. But capsule is ultimately a different experience, and I think it's the way forward. And I think Rakesh, you also have stayed in Osaka in one of the capsule hotels.
Yeah.
Rakesh is from Hong Kong.
Interesting enough, Japan's first capsule hotel was founded in 1979, and then it was only after a few decades then Hong Kong started to have these capsule hotels, which is really pretty weird, right? Yeah, Japan has this for many decades already.
They have,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that when I worked with the Japanese, that this was not a new concept to them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
purely a means just for people to get some sleep.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
there's one factor why Japan could have these capsule hotels going in a very sizable way. Because first of all, Japan transport cost is very high, especially after midnight. All the trains stop,
Yeah.
and the cab and the taxi fares are extremely expensive. It's actually one of the most expensive in the world. And so many people choose to stay in capsule hotels after they miss the trains. The taxi is too expensive, and it would be much cost-effective to just stay in a capsule hotel. So they wake up in the morning and go back to work straight. So that's the case in Japan. And also the other thing is Japanese people are very well behaved, even when they're drunk.
I know,
Totally not the case compared to the Brits and Aussies. Okay, come on. Yeah, they still well behaved. So capsule hotels in the whole floor. There's like 20, 30 capsules in one floor, and if any one of the guests are not well behaved, it would be a disaster. Yeah,
Right.
that was the case actually. Yeah, in New York, there's a capsule hotel in New York. Have you ever heard about that? Yeah, Nap York.
No, I haven't heard about the one in New York.
Yeah, Nap York. Yeah, they had a lot of trouble with the alcoholic guests. Yeah, yeah, just one guy getting crazy, shouting, waking up everyone.
I spent the night in capsule hotel in the Paris about 20 years ago.
Oh, really?
So for you to understand what it is, yeah, there were all hotels at the airport were booked, so there was no choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I didn't know really what it is. So anyway, I booked, I came into my room. So the thing is that you can enter the room, but that's about all what you can do. Once you're in the room and you lock the door, you have to very carefully maneuver how to put your suitcase under the bed if possible. Okay, so you can do that, but you cannot do even one step in any direction. All you can do is just to stay where you are. So you're staying there. You can turn though. If you're very careful, you can turn. So now you're facing the bed. Then you're turning slowly this way. Now you're turning the door to the toilet. Okay, so once you're facing the toilet, you can very slowly open the door to the toilet. And here is one step actually that you can actually do is to step from the middle or geographical middle of your location to the toilet. Now the toilet you cannot do any steps in any direction. All you can do is stay there and go into the shower or do something else. Anyway, that's the problem with that is that it's not much cheaper than other hotels. My problem was that they're all booked, so I had no choice but to stay in such conditions. I don't think. Okay, you probably can sleep, but in the morning, once you're done sleeping, you have to run away from there because you will get crazy by staying more than 15 minutes.
I think every hotel in New York is about that size. Every hotel room. No, I've stayed in some hotels
and they're more expensive
that were that small. Like literally, you couldn't even get your suitcase in the room. And I'll never forget how small the bathrooms were. I mean, I've stayed in some big rooms in New York as well, but sure. I think a lot of the newer hotels were made extremely small rooms. I've slept in one of these pods, so to speak, or what they call a pod section at a airport one time. You pay for by the hour.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. But this is very similar to me as to what a bed and breakfast would be, because in these situations where there's a pod, you kind of share the bathrooms, right? You have a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom, but it's all co-ed, not co-ed, but it's shared, right? And so you share the bathrooms, you share the utilities, you share, the kitchens, and the living spaces. Are all shared, so it definitely different.
Yeah, well, to some of the people, it's not that convenient, especially for females. So we have branches offering female-only capsules, and the bathrooms are en-suite inside the room. So because we find it more convenient. And the other thing is, even the price is close to a tiny private room, we still see that there's a considerable number of people who choose to stay in this co-living capsule apartment because they're lonely. They don't want to stay alone in a tiny private room by themselves. They're more sociable. They like to make friends, and they like to feel the space that they're living is not like crammed. Compared to a capsule co-living apartment, staying in a tiny private room makes them feel more claustrophobic.
Right.
At least a co-living apartment has a big communal area, a big kitchen, a full kitchen they can cook properly.
Right.
So there's pros and cons.
It's different. And I'll tell you what, I had a unique experience, where we've got the co-ed bathrooms now, which are fine with me, if it's just one room and you go in but they had how they have the bathrooms with all the stalls, and they were open as co-ed when I was at the NFL at one of the buildings. So when I went in, they had like separate stalls, but like to go to the sink, it's all men and women. And it was awkward. At first, right? But then I told myself, well, why is this awkward? The stalls are separate, right? So advancing to that next level, because, I was so accustomed to one way, but I finally got over it because I'm like, well, I need to go into the bathroom and this is the only choice we have. So it was awkward, but being forced into that environment made me realize it's not that bad to have to be forced into a community living style, right? That
you're more open in this regard. Well, first of all, we don't do that, or we still separate the male and female toilets. Asian people are more conservative in terms of toilet use. They hate guys not taking up the thing.
I know. Preaching to the choir.
So our toilets are automatic. The lid opens up automatically when you approach, and so that saves you the hassle of touching the dirty lid by hand. Which I hated to do.
Somebody was smart. That was an easy fix, right? Because all you have to do is just like you do the trash cans, that the lid flips up and down, right? The other thing I like is, and I saw this at my dentist office, is a sink that you don't use your hands to turn on. And I don't like the automated ones because they never work for me, but they have foot pedals, right? And you use your foot to turn on and off the sink. And I like those, but not everybody can use their feet. We have people who are handicapped. So the motion detectors became popular. But motion detectors, I think I'm a ghost. They never work.
I have the same problem.
I always have to call somebody over to get it to work for me. But no, all of this automation and the pod, it's so sci-fi to me, right? We see these in movies, but again, we know that this has existed in the Japanese world for many, many years. What is it?
I was going to ask Ron, because when you describe about the advantages of automation, which there are many, and they're very good for the business owner, but you also talked about controlling your labor costs, which from the business owner's standpoint is very good. But what about the labor? Are you seeing an increase in Hong Kong of income inequality? Because when I can't be a receptionist at a hotel, where do I get a job?
It's still at an infant stage, I would say. Hotel industries all over the world, to me, it's pretty lagging behind compared to other industries. You know, the hotel industry, if you go to a hotel today and back in 100 or 200 years ago, it's still pretty much the same. Receptionist greeting you, and then the concierge, and then the bellboy taking the luggage for you over to the room. And yeah, in our industry, things haven't changed much. I would say many big hotels are stuck with the automation trend because they think that labor is unavoidable in terms of giving the best service to their to their guests, especially for 4 or 5-star hotels.
Yes.
The mindset is pretty fixed. They think that having a staff standing at the main door greeting the guests cannot be replaced by the robots, so to speak. I think this industry is still moving very slowly, but I see things are changing, especially in China. You know, the Alibaba set up the really high-tech automation hotels in Hangzhou in China, and the room rate is quite high. I mean, $200 a night, basic. Sometimes $300. And we're talking about average room rate in China for 5-star hotels are only $110, $120. So what Alibaba is doing is really a step forward compared to the other industry fellows, and their automation is also one step ahead of other automation systems. I mean, like for us doing the automations, we have all the orders from travel agents going to our property management systems automatically, and then the orders go to synchronized to the check-in kiosk, and then the guests can use the kiosk and search their names or booking number, and then get the key card, and then they get the room by themselves. That's the typical way of doing the automated hotels elsewhere. But Alibaba has done something even more advanced. Like when you make a booking with your mobile phone, they recognize your face, and you just step into the hotel door opens because it recognizes your face. It's all facial recognitions. Keyless operations, even the room door is all facial recognition to get the door.
Well, you know, Ron, my wife and I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton on Central Park in New York, and one of the things that blew me away was when we got to the doorman came out and greeted us by name. And when we went to the bar, the bartender greeted us by name. So they had that facial recognition, but I thought it was all an amazing experience. But it's about the facial recognition.
Yeah,
a couple of things. First of all, this system of recognition I've experienced first time 30 years ago in 1990 when I was flying by Singapore Airline economy class. I was greeted by name. Nobody asked me what's my name. I was greeted by stewardess by name and got the drink and everything, whatever I asked for. Number two, second for mentioning Alibaba, I have 200 shares of Alibaba, and they're doing quite well now. The third thing is that all these innovations in travel industry, they are basically taking away a job from airport handlers, from air travel agents, from all these people, and impose it on you, customer. You have to now sit at the computer and punch the keys and find out whatever airline and whatever airfare you're going to pay and whatever else, when you're going to check and whatever hotel. You have to do it all yourself and paying, in fact, even higher prices than ever. This is what's happening to travel agents. They provided much less service, much more lousy service, much more expensive service, and all they can say to you, go and do your job. That's what's happening, really. So
Yeah.
I'm not too impressed with all this automation development, sorry to say, but I'm an old school guy, and I don't appreciate all these novelties when they're making me to work hard when I'm coming to the airport. Oh, okay, I'm flying in business class, so I'm going right there, and they're taking care of me and so on. But if not, I see people, they're finding this kiosk, then you have to figure out to work with this kiosk and do this and that or so on. Oh, what a pleasure.
Yeah, I totally understood your frustration, Alex. To us, what I mean, I've run traditional hotels before, like 100-something rooms with receptionists trying to greet the guests, etc. I've done that before, and to me, everything has pros and cons. The people, the staff could give you a better service. Yet they can also give you a bad experience encountering with the guests. I mean, you must have experience with some not so good staff. You're against their attitudes. If you look at the hotel reviews websites on TripAdvisor, etc., you see there's a lot of complaints. I mean, at least 2 or 3 bad comments on TripAdvisors because of the staff handling not properly or in a not so nice manner. So to me, machines, maybe everything is automated. The guests need to do things by themselves, but the guests will not be annoyed or offended by the staff.
Even if they are, there is nobody to complain to. What?
Right.
You complain to machine? No, you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll go to another place.
So I have worked since 1970 something. Okay. And in various different customer service areas. And one of the things I notice is that the only information you're going to get and feedback you're going to get are from people who complain. It is very rare that you're going to get feedback from people who are excessively happy or just satisfied. Even if you give a form for them to fill out, people just are, I'm satisfied, whatever. But so it's for the few people who complain, and that's the squeaky wheel, you're satisfying the squeaky wheel rather than the 90% of the people who were satisfied and happy. And nobody takes a look at this. And in customer service, in sales, we had a number one rule, those of us who were very successful. The customer's always right. Even when the customer's wrong, the customer's always right. And last but not least, the customer's always right. But you always give the customer a means to call you. And nowhere today do I see, especially in big industries, an easy phone number access that I can pick up and call and just say, hey, that was great, real quick, or I have an issue. As a middle satisfied person, I have a little issue. Can we fix it? No one today. And when I always started companies, the first thing you saw on our advertisements before website became big, the first thing you saw was a customer service number. And our customer service reps had an automatic threshold that they could negotiate with right off the bat to make a customer happy. But no one has that today. YouTube has no phone number to call, okay? YouTube has no phone number to call when you're dissatisfied or can't even figure out how to work their system, or they're wrong and them taking down your data. There's no one to call. Facebook has nobody to call. Nobody has anyone to call. Google used to, but doesn't. AOL used to, but doesn't. Everyone took away a means to call. When I go to a big company website, the first thing I see isn't a phone number. And that I think, if you want to lead the world, that needs to change. I would rather talk to a human than a bot.
Even if you do get a phone number, it's also often a voicemail system where they give you a menu to select from, and I can never navigate myself to a human being. So
Put me
it's
to a human in less than 30 seconds. Let me tell you the world I grew up in. I built some of the world's leading technology that was utilized by the communication industry, and I was the vendor side, okay? We had less than 3 minutes to make sure equipment was brought back up for Southern Bell or Bell South or for GTE, for Verizon, any of the companies that bought our equipment. We had a less than 3 minute uptime. So do you think that that means that they got when they made a phone call in somewhere, that they got a bot that routed them? No, they got a real person. So to me, any company that really cares about the humans and really cares about their customers, when a phone call is made, and you know what, so what that you're employing a lot of people in a part of your company that makes no revenue. What people don't understand is your return customer is the best revenue. You didn't have to pay for advertisement for it. And the world of telecom is backwards. I'm not even going to use the other word to define them. Asset backwards, because they reward new people to come on by giving them a free service, free phone, or whatever. But the people who've been with them for 12 months, paying their service fees on time, they up the rate after 12 months, and then they have a negotiation clause that you can come back, and I call it the bitch clause. You come back and bitch at them enough, and they'll reduce you by 10%. When I ran a phone company, I never had attrition. I had zero attrition. And the reason why I had zero attrition is after 12 months, every one of our good paying clients got a free month. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we had zero attrition rate. And you can't beat that. You can't beat that. My advertising had 100% return. You know why? Because we had a phone number and a live person at the end of that line. In minutes, that person answered. And, seconds, actually, not within 1 minute, people were talking to a person. But you can't run businesses. I guess you can, because there's so many people in this world. But truly, if you want a first-class business to pick up the middle-class clientele, give us something.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Honestly, it's exactly because many big enterprises are cutting costs on customer service. For us, small and medium enterprises who want to thrive and grow bigger and make a difference, we actually, on the other hand, invest a lot more on customer service. And I've seen a very successful company in China doing hotpot. Because I don't know if you ever heard of that, Haidinao. It's a hotpot enterprise in China. The food is just not much different than other hotpot restaurant chains, but the service is extremely crazily good, and they're getting listed because of the service being too good. A lot of people just miss their good service, the dining experience that they cannot get in other restaurants. So I think that this is also our directions, especially after hearing Kim, what you said tonight. I really need to think about more incentive scheme, how to make our staff to greet the customers better, to be more caring to the customers better, to make a difference. So there's a noise among all these good guests, spread of mouth. That's really important. I think. Well, people, some enterprises are giving up this part, so we take on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so many enterprises have cut out that important empathy part. And quite honestly, it's just the human factor, right? The HI, what I call the human intelligence, right? We have AI. I think we overuse AI and abuse what it's really intended for. AI should be used to make our jobs quicker and more efficient. But it shouldn't replace humans by any means. It should not replace. But, the thing about the human factor is that we're all human. And when we buy something, at the end of the day, I want to feel like I'm a human, not that I'm a number. And I think we lost that somewhere in growth. We took that away. And I think that the companies that come back with it are going to be the companies that come back stronger. Because I will do business with people who are going to be people oriented moving forward. And I found that I didn't have to do a lot of advertising when I ran my business because of that, and truly because we inspired people to stay with us, not to leave us. And the only reason why I closed the company was regulations made it too complicated for the small companies to stay in business. It was too expensive. The big companies were given all the freedom without money, having to pay for things. And the small companies were regulated in such a way that we had to pay more money for the same luxury. So I finally saw the writing on the wall and decided it was time to move on and do something different. But I learned a lot. And people want to be treated with a lot more respect. And I think that will make a big difference in any industry. But I look forward to seeing what happens in your world, Ron. And you're welcome to, because I'm loving this conversation. But who do we have as another guest here? I can't see the name.
Still Jim.
So I would like to welcome Anuj Kamboj joining us from Delhi, India. Hi, Anuj. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi. Very good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Welcome to IBM TV. All good, all well.
Yes, all is very well.
Anuj, can you introduce about yourself? What do you do? Where are you from?
Right.
For viewers.
So I'm an entrepreneur who works in clean tech, and we specifically work in solar industry, and we work on a very small sector which is very niche called solar process heat application. So what we do is we put up boilers that run on solar heat and replace industrial boilers that primarily use coal or natural gas. So we have put up one plant in southern part of India in one of the largest private dairy companies in South India, and there we are producing steam for milk drying plant. They have a milk powder plant, and that's what I have done. And what now we are doing is we are working on solar applications. So we are not specifically working on the just selling energy like you see a lot of times in the newspaper, that big solar plants that sell electricity, but we are working on recovering pure water from industrial wastewater using solar heat. So
no, that's the way the whole world needs to go. Congratulations. Yeah, I'd love to see every building in the world using solar. I don't know why we're not, and to have rooftop gardens, especially if they're flat, that service the community, right? Because we have rooftop gardens that are being built here by Jim Goodnight, which is the founder of SAS. And when he builds a building now, one of the rooftops sections will be designed to collect water. And that water is ran through a filtration system in the roof, and that water goes into the building to service the building, right? And he has a whole solar farm that generates the power for the whole city if they wanted it to. So solar definitely is, to me, I don't understand why we haven't moved forward faster. But what have you found in your research and your launching of a business here? Share with us.
You see, the thing is that India is a very complicated country, and some of you might not be exactly aware, but in India we have about 30 official languages and a very complicated culture. So also, when we are working in India, cost is a very big factor. And just to give you a comparison, in United States, I could probably get a 15 to 20 year loan on solar project for 4%, 4 to max 4.5. In India, I got a loan for 12%. So that makes things harder in the long run. It's unfortunate that a poor country has to pay more. So there are a lot of challenges, and I feel that by having worked in one of the most complex markets, I'm very much ready to enter United States or Australia or certain parts of Africa, which have the right solar radiation. So, and most importantly, most businesses that can actually afford solar are not interested in doing solar because they feel that they have this inertia of not changing. There are a lot of large business houses and corporations that do not want to change. You'll be absolutely surprised. A company like Unilever, which is probably by far the largest FMCG company in the world, they look for return on investment, ideally within 2 years. That means 50% return on investment. So I asked them, when you put money in the bank, which they obviously do because they have so much money, you get, at least they're London based, so probably you get 2%. Even if you put in India, you get 6%. So how can you ask for? Sorry.
Go ahead. How can you ask for what?
So, I think Ron needs to leave, so we should say bye to Ron, and we can resume with Anuj. Ron, thank you for joining us, and we would love to watch you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of
Come
the day.
back. Come back.
Okay, cheers.
Come back.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Wow, that was informative on the